Hello, everybody, and welcome to Friday Apocryphal Podcast.
Your one-stop shop
for everything Friday, Apocryphal, and podcast.
Yeah, it doesn't.
And boy, do we have a show for you today.
Have a show for you today.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
Today, it doesn't roll off the tongue as well.
No, it doesn't.
No.
We'll work on it.
Yeah.
So, for the viewers who were not aware, this is the first in our series on Apocrypha.
Yeah, we're doing a whole bunch of Apocrypha, and the first one that we're doing is the Book of Enoch.
First Enoch.
Yes, there it is. It is beautiful. This is the Hermenia translation, and the Hermenia Biblical Commentary series is fantastic. I recommend it to absolutely everybody. This isn't a commentary. It has, some commentary, but it's not a traditional biblical commentary.
Right, but we do have...
Okay, I didn't know this until today, but Ehrman's commentary on the Bible has a commentary on First Enoch.
And we're going to be referencing
We are going to be referencing it.
In addition to that, we have the Dead Sea Scrolls.
So I should introduce some of those books. Okay, So this is a translation of the Dead Sea Scrolls. This is not all of them, by the way. This is just the stuff that is non-canonical. Because if they did publish all of the canon Dead Sea Scrolls, this would be like 11 times longer, easily. So this is just the stuff that...
I know I don't have a mic, but it's like the Oxford English Dictionary, actual physical edition, basically.
Sure.
That's like 28 volumes.
And also, don't talk if you don't have a mic.
Fuck off.
Anyways, this contains a fragment. It contains a version of the creation story we're going to learn from First Enoch. So those very closely related traditions.
Yes. In addition to this book, we also have the King James Version of the Bible.
Even though that doesn't matter. Now, let's introduce the actual stuff that we are going to use. So this is a fantastic book also. This is the Apocalyptic Imagination by J.J. Collins. J.J. Collins is the leading... pretty much one of the leading authorities in the world on Jewish apocalypticism. The Apocalyptic Imagination, an introduction to Jewish apocalyptic literature. He goes over the early Enochic literature in here. I'm going to be referencing that as well. And if you want to hand me
yes,
book
we
right
also have the Jewish apocalyptic tradition and the shaping of the New Testament thought.
Yes. So this is obviously more... this is by Benjamin Reynolds and Lauren Stuckenbrook. This book is more New Testament, obviously, but it's all of the apocalyptic stuff in the New Testament. And there are references to Enoch here as well.
Yes. In addition, we have our usual setup of all these Bibles and the Old Testament survey.
Old Testament survey, Alter's translation, Holy Scriptures, New King James, English Standard, Oxford Companion. So we
got it all.
We have it all. We're not going to be using most of that stuff, but we have quite a few things.
Though before we get into First Enoch, we should comment on the character Enoch. Who does appear in the book of Genesis.
Yes.
And I believe it's Genesis...
there's Genesis 4.
Genesis
he pops
4,
up.
he pops up?
Yeah, pull up the exact verses. Now, this is interesting. It gives us two different accounts of who he is. What's up, Chris?
I'm testing something.
Okay, Chris is testing something.
Yeah.
So
he's mentioned in
as the
4:17
as the son of Cain, if you want to read that.
Yes. Genesis chapter 4:17 states, "And Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bare Enoch.
Yes.
And he builded a city and called the name of the city after the name of his son Enoch."
So, and then go ahead and flip to Genesis 5:18.
Okay, Genesis 5:18 states, "And Jared," or Yared, maybe,
whatever.
lived 162 years, and he begat Enoch.
Yes. So we have two different stories about who Enoch is related to directly, who he's the son of.
Yes, and in this same chapter, we get the more famous statement about Enoch, where it says in chapter 5:22, and Enoch walked with God after he begat Methuselah 300 years and begat sons and daughters.
Yeah.
Right?
So Enoch, just I'm going to read a little bit about that specifically, about his ascension, and then eventually we're going to.
And I'm going to see if Alter has anything to say about the verse, because
Sure.
we did not have this back when we were doing
true.
the Torah.
That's true, we didn't. So let's talk a little bit about the figure of Enoch. So, of course, we just referenced how he went with God and whatnot. What's up?
Your mic is really flickering on and off.
Put it up here.
Sure.
Okay. Evidently, this brief notice does not imply the full account of Enoch's otherworldly journeys, which we find in 1st Enoch.
That immediately fixed it, thank you.
Great. But is rather the seed from which later speculation grew, as is expected. We do not know how elaborate a story is presupposed in Genesis. The biblical allusion does, however, contain some intriguing indications of the context in which Enoch's speculation developed. Now you're going to have to follow me on this one. This one, when I first read it, it kind of seemed like stretching, but then Collins made a lot of very good points. I'm just going to read from this directly. Enoch is listed in Genesis as 7th in line from Adam. In the Sumerian kings list, the 7th king is En-Meduranki. Sippar, the city ruled by this king, was a center of the cult of Shamash, the sun god. Enoch is associated with the solar calendar. His age is given as 365 years in Genesis, and the astronomical book, which is part of the Book of Enoch, presupposes a calendar of 364 days. And Meduranki was also the founder of a guild of diviners and a recipient of revelations. His enthronement is described as follows. Here's directly from the text. Samash in Ebaraba, I think that's how, Ebabrara, appointed Enmeduranki, king of Sippar, the beloved of Anu, Enlil, and Ea. Samas and Adad brought him in to their assembly. Samas and Adad set him on a large throne of gold. They showed him how to observe oil on water, a mystery of Anu. They gave him the tablet of the gods, the liver, a secret of heaven and the underworld. They put in his hand the cedar rod, beloved by the great gods. This text is of interest in view of the elevation of Enoch, and especially in view of his identification with the Son of Man figure in 1st Enoch chapter 71.
Which we will get to eventually.
Yeah, we will. Enoch's wisdom is derived from the heavenly vision, the words, and this is in quotes, the heavenly vision, the words of the holy angels, and the tablets of heaven. Evidently, the biblical 7th man emulates the Mesopotamian 7th king. So that, initially I was like, I don't know, just because there's, 365 in there and 7, that doesn't necessarily mean it. But then obviously he expands on it.
Right.
So a lot of stuff about Enoch. And I mean, today we're going to be reading part of the section from the Book of the Watchers.
Yes, that has a lot of notoriety among Christian mystics.
Yeah, and just really occult people in general.
Yeah, Alter does not comment on Enoch's lineage.
Doesn't, okay.
But he does say about him walking with God a fair bit. He says, and Enoch walked with God. This cryptic verse has generated mountains of speculative commentary, not to speak of 2 whole books of the Apocrypha.
I bet.
It's 3, actually, but, The reflexive form of the verb to walk that occurs here is the same form used for God's walking about in the garden. Instead of the flat report of death, as is the case with the other antediluvians, the euphemism was no more literally was not, which is also applied to Joseph, merely supposed by his brothers to be dead, is used. Walked with surely implies some sort of special, intimate relationship with God, but what that might be is anyone's guess. This is one of several instances in the early chapters of Genesis of a teasing vestige of a tradition for which the context is lost. Enoch is the 7th generation from Adam, and some scholars have seen an instructive analogy in a Mesopotamian list of kings before the deluge, in which the 7th antediluvian king, a certain Enmeteranki,
Yep, the one we just covered.
yes, is taken up to sit before the gods Shamash and Adad, and is granted preternatural wisdom. Shamash is the sun god, and the biblical Enoch lives as many years as the days of the solar year.
Yeah. So I guess they're in agreement there.
Yep.
So, like I said, the portion we are reading today is part of the Book of the Watchers. Now, there is a lot of dating issues when it comes to the separate sections in the Book of Enoch. So it's divided into 5 pieces. There's the Book of the Watchers. There's the Book of Parables, or the Similitudes of Enoch. There's the Astronomical Book. There are the Dream Visions. And there is the Epistle of Enoch. And I think there is one extra chapter, I believe, that is supposed to, I forget what it's called. I'm gonna check in here. But I think, let's see, not this one, not this one. It's a singular chapter. Okay, they just have it as a final Book of Enoch. But either way. So the dating is really weird. So one book was built off of like the others, and then another book was built off of those. So it was a step-by-step process, but they're not in the order in which they were written. So we have here the Book of the Watchers was probably actually the earliest. Now, the best we can say for this is 3rd century BCE. So
it's a pretty old book.
Yeah, it's fairly old. It was kind of around before, just before the Qumran sect was writing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, why don't I read some of the materials here? There's a preface, which is very short.
Sure.
And there's a little bit of an introduction just to this section that we're reading.
Yeah.
So the preface says, First Enoch is a collection of apocalyptic revelatory texts that were composed between the late 4th century BCE and the turn of the era. The size of the collection, the diversity of its contents, and its many implications for the study of ancient Judaism and Christian origins make it arguably the most important Jewish writing that has survived from the Greco-Roman period. In this revised edition, we offer a translation that's based on a critical reading of all the ancient textual sources on chapters 37 through 82. Well, it goes into a little bit of detail about translation, which is not about sections we're talking about today.
Yeah.
So let me just skip over to the introduction proper. Contents of First Enoch. First Enoch divides into 5 major sections, which are followed by 2 short appendices. The Book of the Watchers, chapters 1 through 36. The Book of Parables, chapters 37 through 71. The Book of the Luminaries, chapters 72 through 82. The Dream Visions.
that's the astronomical book.
Yes.
Goes by both names.
Yes. The Dream Visions, chapters 83 through 90. The Epistle of Enoch, chapters 91 through 105. The Birth of Noah, chapters 106 to 107. Another book by Enoch, chapter 108. The section represents developing stages of the Enochic tradition, each one building on the earlier ones, though not in the order in which they presently stand in the collection. Overall, they express a common worldview that characterizes this present world and age as evil and unjust and in need of divine education and renewal. With the possible exception of the Book of the Luminaries, they focus on the common concern and expectation that a coming divine judgment will eradicate evil and injustice from the earth and will return the world to God's created intention. Their authority lies in their claim that they transmit divine revelation, which in the patriarch Enoch received in primordial times, Genesis 5:21-24, and which is made in public in the last times to constitute the eschatological community of the chosen. On the Book of the Watchers, it says chapters 1 through 5 were composed as an introduction to chapters 1 through 36, but now set the keynote for the entire work. They constitute a tripartite prophetic oracle in which Enoch announces the coming theophany, when God and the heavenly entourage will render judgment against the rebel angels who introduced evil into the world, and against sinful humans who perpetrate it. The first section, 1 through 9, paraphrases part of Moses' final blessing on Israel, Deuteronomy 33, and an oracle of Balaam, Numbers 24, and bases Enoch's authority on visions received in heaven and interpreted by angels. The second section, 2:1 through 5:4, cast in the language of Israelite wisdom traditions, expands the indictment of all flesh by contrasting the obedience of the heavenly bodies and the earthly seasons with humanity's disobedience. The final section, 5:5 through 9, employs language from Isaiah 56 through 66 to describe the blessings and curses that await the righteous chosen and the sinners. Chapters 6 through 11 are an interpretation of Genesis 6 through 9 that identifies events of the primordial past with those of the author's time. The sons of God from Genesis 6:2, identified as angels or watchers, led by their chieftain Shemahazah, rebel against God by mating with mortal woman and begetting giants who devastate the earth. The giants can be interpreted as stand-ins for the warriors of the author's own time, the Hellenistic kings. The Genesis description of the flood flows into a scenario that is appropriate for God's eschatological judgment and the inception of the new age. Interwoven with the myth of the Watchers and the woman is a second pair of myths, which identify the sin of the Watchers as the revelation of forbidden secrets, metallurgy and mining, magic and the mantic arts that promote violence and promiscuity. Here, the rebel chieftain is Azazel, a figure who resembles Prometheus, the rebellious divine figure of Greek myth. Humanity's plea, heard by the four high angels, triggers the judgment. With the sinful principles annihilated, a new age ensures with blessings for the chosen and those of humanity who have converted to the worship of God. So that's a little preface to this section that we're reading. So, Lawrence, I've been reading this stuff for a while.
Yeah.
Why don't you, comment on that or continue reading?
I can start reading.
Yeah.
So here's this commentary. So feel free to take that.
Oh, gladly.
Yeah. We're gonna have a lot to say when we get to chapters 6 through 11. By the way.
Yes.
Because that's where we have the actual fall of the angels, and there's some cool shit in there.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so chapter 1, I guess. The words of the blessing with which Enoch blessed the righteous chosen who will be present on the day of tribulation, to remove all the enemies, and the righteous will be saved. And he took up his discourse and said, Enoch, a righteous man, whose eyes were opened by God, who had the vision of the Holy One and of heaven, which he showed me. From the words of the watchers and the holy ones I heard everything, and as I heard everything from them, I also understood what I saw. Not for this generation do I expound, but concerning one that is distant I speak, and concerning the chosen I speak now, and concerning them I take up my discourse. The great Holy One will come forth from his dwelling, and the eternal God will tread from thence upon Mount Sinai. He will appear with his army. He will appear with his mighty host from the heaven of heavens. All the watchers will fear and quake, and all those who are hiding in all the ends of the earth will sing. All the ends of the earth will be shaken, and trembling and great fear will seize them, the watchers, unto the ends of the earth. The high mountains will be shaken, and fall and break apart, and the high hills will be made low, and melt like wax before the fire. The earth will be wholly rent asunder, and everything on the earth will perish, and there will be judgment on all. With the righteous he will make peace, and over the chosen there will be protection, and upon them will be mercy. They will all be God's, and he will grant them his good pleasure. He will bless them all, and he will help them all. Light will shine upon them, and he will make peace with them. Look, he comes from the myriads of his holy ones to execute judgment on all, and to destroy all the wicked, and to convict all humanity for all the wicked deeds they have done, and the proud and hard words that wicked sinners spoke against him. So, that was chapter 1. What did you think of chapter 1?
Well, it's
There was.
I mean, it's kind of violent imagery, very much like building up armies, and like the big happening is happening.
Like wax,
Yeah.
And it's just a prerequisite for the stuff that's going to happen later.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is all.
And there ain't nothing you can do about it.
God's pissed, and he's coming.
Yeah. So that's very much like in line with the Old Testament Yahweh.
Yeah.
I
can keep reading because I'm going to be honest with you. Chapters 3 and 4 are 2 verses.
Hot damn!
Go ahead.
So yeah.
I'm going to reference this here. It says for what you just read. These verses are closely modeled on both the blessings of Moses, Deuteronomy 33:1,
and the ones from Balaam.
Yeah, the Balaam oracles from Numbers 24, 3 through 4, and 15 through 17, creating a curious hybrid.
Curious hybrid. Strange this hybrid is.
Yes, a figure combining prophetic authority from both Judaism's most revered leader and from a shady pagan seer. The choice of the latter is prophetic in itself, just as the portrait of Balaam in Numbers is deeply ambivalent, so later Judaism will not know what to do with the exalted figure of Enoch, or with the whole phenomenon of apocalypticism so closely associated with him. Rabbinic Judaism will dismiss both, but the Qumran finds have raised up inconvenient old ghosts, demonstrating how very Jewish the apocalyptic mind was.
Yeah. Do you, actually, hold on, can you have the Dead Sea Scrolls book? Because there is a version of a creation myth, which is very similar. Let me just make sure it's, okay, actually, you know what? We should probably read this after chapters 6 through 11.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll read that afterwards. But it shares a lot of very similar themes there. contemplate all his works and observe the works of heaven, how they do not alter their paths, and the luminaries of heaven, that they all rise and set, each one ordered in its appointed time, and they appear on their feasts and do not transgress their own appointed order. That's very much would that be similar to the Tao?
Let me see.
Or would it be it's this first one? Or would that be
just the first verse?
Yeah. Or would it be closer to just Dharma? Because it's very similar. They do what they have to do.
Right. I mean, it's a deterministic system.
Yeah.
Right. There's no changing them.
They just keep going.
It's their nature to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Observe the earth and contemplate the works that take place on it from the beginning until the consummation, that nothing on earth changes, but all the works of God are manifest to you. Oh, shit. Well, that didn't go well. Earth is changing a lot.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we let them down.
We screwed up.
Yep. Observe the signs of summer and winter. Contemplate the signs of winter, that all the earth is filled with water, and clouds and dew and rain rest upon it. So apparently that's supposed to mean something.
It's
winter.
weather.
Is that like an omen thing? I don't know. I know it's weather, but like what's
I mean, any kind of oncoming natural disaster is bad.
I don't
Maybe
know.
he's talking about an ice age.
Winter's coming!
Yeah, winter's coming.
Contemplate and observe how all the trees appear withered, and how all their leaves are stripped, except 14 trees that are not stripped, which remain with the old until the new comes after 2 or 3 years. Are these like... Are these a specific species of tree?
No, I think it's just 14 trees.
14 trees?
Overall, their entire tree population is down to 14.
And then they replenish themselves every 2 or 3 years?
Yeah, like one of the older trees dies.
Yeah, and then the new ones are... But they're... Okay, whatever. I guess there's a tree that does that.
Well, trees don't even grow that fast.
I know.
Like...
2 or 3 years.
You know, the idea is probably that they're going to very quickly run out.
Sure. Of trees.
Yeah.
Observe the signs of summer, whereby the sun burns and scorches, and you seek shelter and shade from its presence. And the earth burns with scorching heat, and you are unable to tread on the dust or the rocks because of the burning.
So we have like a whole bunch of different... I'm sure R and Ra would approve of all the elemental associations being made.
Yeah, but no, this is very much...
Walk on hot fucking gravel.
Well, yeah. Like, even, the natural... I guess the natural cycle of life is to destroy shit. Is that the point they're trying to get across? Contemplate all the trees. Their leaves blossom green on them, and they cover the trees. And all their fruit is for glorious honor. Contemplate all these works and understand that he who lives for all the ages made all these works, and his works take place from year to year, and they all carry out their works for him, and their works do not alter, but they all carry out his word. Okay, so this is all very deterministic.
Right. So God is that which causes determinism, I guess.
Yeah, God is just, it's his plan.
Right.
It's his plan.
So for someone who follows the Enochian tradition, they would have to like totally reject any kind of free will argument.
Right.
At least based off that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Observe how, in like manner, the sea and the rivers carry out and do not alter their works from his words. Just presupposing his words. Is that what's that called? The actual name of the fountain. That's begging the question, isn't it?
I
Because
think.
like they're asserting that The way this is going is God's word.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, God's word is the river flows the way it does, just because it's determined. That's begging the question, isn't it?
I forget the names of the fallacies.
Okay. I'm pretty sure. Whatever.
There are a few that I have memorized.
All right. Either way, rivers don't change. But you have not stood firm nor acted according to his commandments, but you have turned aside. You have spoken proud and hard words with your unclean mouth against his majesty. Hard of heart, there will be no peace for you. Shit. Then you will curse your days, and the years of your life will perish, and the years of your destruction will increase in an eternal curse, and there will be no mercy or peace for you. Then you will leave your names as an eternal curse for all the righteous, and by you all who curse will curse. And all the sinners and wicked will swear by you, but all the chosen will rejoice. And for them there will be forgiveness of sins and all mercy and peace and clemency. For them there will be salvation, a good light, and they will inherit the earth. But for all you sinners there will be no salvation, but on all of you a curse will abide. So the bad people will follow you, the good people won't.
Yeah.
And leaving your names as an eternal curse. So as an example.
Yeah, so it's like you screwed up so bad that everyone calls that a Lawrence now?
Yes.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
And like even mentioning the name Lawrence is like bad luck.
Yeah.
Yep.
As is tradition. As is tradition.
Roughly accurate.
Yeah. For the chosen, there will be light and joy and peace, and they will inherit the earth. But for you, wicked, there will be a curse. Then wisdom will be given to all the chosen, and they will all live. And they will sin no more through godlessness or pride. They're calling us out.
Yes.
In the enlightened man, there will be light, and in the wise man, understanding. And they will
Isn't that tautological? In the enlightened man, there will be light.
Yeah. And they will transgress no more, nor will they sin all the days of their life, nor will they die in the heat of God's wrath. But the number of days of their life they will complete, and their life will grow in peace. And the years of their joy will increase in rejoicing and eternal peace all the days of their life. So what this is, what I'm getting from this is that there is free will for people.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the universe acts as it does because that's his word, right?
But it's only people who have free will.
Right, only people, or I don't know, maybe just conscious beings in general. And here it's saying that you, because like it says that you won't live out all the days of your life if you're evil. Mm-hmm. So if you are evil, God cuts your life short.
Yes.
Like that's what it sounds like.
But is that accurate?
Is that accurate? I don't think. No, I
think pretty bad people tend to live pretty long lives.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Sometimes, maybe.
Like all the nice people in my family, dead. Horrible grandmother, horrible mother to her children, still around.
Still around.
Still
Wow.
Smoking.
Wow. Well, that just proves that smoking is good for you.
Yep.
I'm kidding. YouTube ads.
Oh, now
YouTube
YouTube has deemed us not profitable and they're shutting down our channel, right?
Yeah, shit happens.
Yeah.
But anyways, that is actually the end of, hold on, how long is chapter 10? Chapter 10 is actually semi-long. So, that's actually the end of chapter 5 already.
What? You skipped a whole bunch here.
It skipped by itself.
That's not auto skip.
Okay, chapters 3 and 4 are two separate verses.
It's fine. It's fine. They can't hear me anyways. It's fine.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Anyways. So yeah. Oh, I know that went like really fast, but like I said, these are some very short chapters.
There you go.
Yeah.
So now
4 or 5.
Now we're going to be starting chapter 6, and I believe Ruben can take it from there.
Yes.
I can confirm that I typed it in, and it was
Yeah.
3, 4, and 5.
I'm sure they can.
Okay.
All right. The rebellion of the Watchers.
Yes.
Starts with the conspiracy, chapter 6. When the sons of men had multiplied, in those days beautiful and comely daughters were born to them. And the Watchers, the sons of heaven, saw them and desired them. And they said to one another, Come, let us choose for ourselves wives from the daughters of men, and let us beget children for ourselves. And Shemahazah, their chief, said to them, I fear that you will not want to do this deed, and I alone shall be guilty of a great sin. And
So he's their general manager.
And they all answered him and said, Let us all swear an oath, and let us all bind one another with a curse, that none of us turn back from this counsel until we fulfill it and do this deed. Then they swore together and bound one another with a curse. And they were, all of them, 200, who descended in the days of Jared onto the peak of Mount Hermon.
Okay, so this is... So...
And they called the mountain Hermon because they swore and bound one another with a curse on it.
Yeah, so the word swore is harem, and that sounds like Hermon. Yeah.
And these are the names of their chiefs.
Well, we already learned one of them.
Shemahazah, this one was their leader. Artakoff, second to him. Ramashel, third to him. Kakabel, fourth to him.
Cockabell, love it.
Armumahel, fifth to him. Ramel, sixth to him. Daniel, seventh to him. Zekel, eighth to him. Barakel, ninth to him. Asael, 10th to him. Hermani, 11th to him. Matarel, 12th to him. Ananel, 13th to him. Setoel, 14th to him.
Thanks, Enoch.
Samshiel, 15th to him. Sariel, 16th to him.
Sariel.
Sorry, L.
Tumiel, 17th to him. Turiel, 18th to him. Yamiel, 19th to him. Yahadiel, 20th to him. These are their chiefs of tens.
Great.
So each of these people have 10 underneath them, and they're...
Yeah, because they're 200.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. The deed and its results. This is chapter 7.
Yeah.
Um,
Doing it differently so it's easier.
Okay.
okay.
Just keep going back.
Yeah, it was just real quick.
These and all the others with them took themselves wives from among them such as they chose. And they began to go into them, and to defile themselves through them,
Yeah.
and to teach them sorcery and charms, and reveal to them the cutting of roots and plants.
So witchcraft.
Yes, making herbal remedies
Yeah.
and
Witchcraft.
psychedelics.
Witchcraft.
Yeah. And they conceived from them and bore to them great giants. And the giants begot Nephilim. And to the Nephilim were born Eliod. And they were growing in accordance with their greatness. They were devouring...
So, hold on. Okay. So, there were angels, divine.
Mhm.
Humans, not divine.
Yeah.
And they bore giants.
Yeah.
And then giants mated with humans created Nephilim. So Nephilim are quarter divine.
Quarter divine.
Okay, and then their sons, or their offspring,
are the Eliod.
yes, which would be an eighth.
Yeah.
Or a seraph. Or a, yeah.
Yeah, and I guess after a certain point, it's so diluted that.
But it seems like they're getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
But they're not. They're getting stronger.
Yes,
Because
but maybe that's worse and worse.
that outdated homeopathy theory.
Ah, yeah, okay.
Yes. They were devouring the labor of all the sons of men, and men were not.
They were taking their jobs.
Yeah,
They
men
took
were
their
not
jobs.
able to supply them, and the giants began to kill men and to devour them.
Wow.
And they began to sin against the birds and beasts and creeping things and fish, and to devour one another's flesh, and they drank the blood. Then the earth brought accusations against the lawless ones. Now this is the beginning of chapter 8.
Yep.
The secrets the watchers reveal. Azazel taught...
Which was the 10th. That was the 10th
Yes.
leader. Yeah.
Taught men to make swords of iron and weapons and shields and breastplates and
Iron?
every instrument of war.
If it's iron, I don't think God can tango with these guys.
No. Oh, that's
But
why...
it's interesting that these are divine beings. Oh, they're teaching men to make swords of iron. Okay, never mind.
Yes.
I thought they were using iron. I was like, that's strange.
Yes.
Go on.
He showed them metals of the earth and how they should work gold to fashion it suitably, and concerning silver to fashion it for the bracelets and ornaments for women. And he showed them concerning antimony and eye paint and all manner of precious stones and dyes, so makeup. And the sons of men made them for themselves and for their daughters, and they transgressed and led the holy ones astray. And there was much godlessness on the earth, and they made their ways desolate. Shemahazah taught spells and the cutting of roots. Hermani taught sorcery for the loosening of spells and magic and skill. Barakel taught the signs of the lightning flashes. Cockabel taught the signs of the stars.
Hold on. Okay, so this is just kind of like this is kind of like doing any kind of oracle.
Yes.
Okay. Like scrying. It's a lot like scrying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Scrying with lightning.
Yeah.
Zekel taught the signs of the shooting stars. Artakoff taught the signs of the earth. Shamsiel taught the signs of the sun.
Yeah, so there's teaching shamanism and witchcraft and divination.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what they're teaching these guys.
Yeah. Sariel taught the signs of the moon. And they all began to reveal mysteries to their wives and to their children. And as men were perishing, the cry went up to heaven. Now this is the beginning of chapter 9. The intercession
So
of
here's something.
the four archangels.
My
Yes.
version a little different. So maybe these guys used a different text,
Mhm.
because most of it is like pretty much the same. But maybe for this one they decided something was original. There came death upon the earth for part of humankind, and because of their cry went up to heaven.
That's in more detail.
Yeah, it is just more detailed. Anyways, there's a lot of really interesting stuff in these passages. That was 6 through 8 that Ruben has just read.
Yes.
Um,
And we're about to get into the actions of the archangels.
yeah. So the first thing that we learned about was obviously the mating with humans and these bastard children.
Yeah.
And as we know from texts in the Bible, they don't like half-breeds.
No, they don't.
No, they don't like mixing and matching. That's not something that they're fans of.
Yeah.
Mr. Potato Head is forbidden.
You know, if
Yeah.
we look at the Bible, they don't even believe in separate but equal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just shittier.
This is from Erdmans. Scholars agree that there are two different stories interwoven in these and the following chapters. In one, Shemihaza and his gang of 200 angels take human brides, teach occult arts, and father giants. In the other, Azazel teaches humanity forbidden technology and thus corrupts the world. Many have argued that the Shemihaza myth originally lacked the teaching element and received it here by contamination from the Azazel material. But the teachings are not all alike. Arts of civilization are consistently associated with Azazel, and sorcery and divination with Shemihaza and company. Perhaps both myths always included a distinctive forbidden teaching motif. And there's also some stuff on the influence from other religions. So, a little bit further down here, these legends have been traced variously to Persian, Mesopotamian, Canaanite, and Greek sources, with the Greek parallels unquestionably the closest in form. But the basic motifs, God's mating with women and producing half-breeds, superior beings teaching humanity the arts of civilization in primeval times, are found in mythologies around the world. We have in Genesis 6, 1 through 4, and elaborated fully in Enoch, the Jewish form of an international myth, perhaps influenced by Greek models at the time of written composition, but not a new creation of the Hellenistic age. Because the time that we're talking that this was written in, the Book of the Watchers, 3rd century, that was in the Hellenistic period, but it was pre-Maccabean revolts. So it wasn't written in the same, it was written before the apocalyptic text Daniel, and it was written before the books of Maccabees. So it comes a little bit before that. So it might be in some way a reference to and I'm pretty sure I'm going to pronounce this wrong, the Diadochi. So after Alexander the Great died, his empire was split into parts, and then you know how there was a period of warring states in China? It's like that. His empire was split into pieces, and there were a bunch of warring factions for all the other parts.
Okay.
Yeah. So I know that there's a good bit in Daniel actually that references that kind of stuff. But maybe this was written under those conditions. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah. Ragabash Dabbler
Thank you.
4666.
Ragabash says, stoked that you guys are adding this stream to the roster. Thanks for giving me something to listen to at work today.
Yes, and every Friday.
Every Friday.
Yes. And we're
That's
probably going
right.
to keep this up until, there's no way we're going to cover all the Apocrypha. Ever.
I mean, if we did it every day.
That would be a little bit different.
If we did multiple shows every day, then we could cover all of the Apocrypha.
We're not going to do that, and you know it.
No, we're not.
Okay.
That would be ridiculous.
I agree.
Who would ever do that?
People who are getting paid way more than we are.
Yeah, that's true.
Mr. Beast?
Mr. Beast?
Yeah.
Mr.
Anyways,
Beast would do
why don't I
Go,
continue?
hold on. Go donate to Team Trees.
Why not?
Because it's good.
I said why not.
I know, but still, it's good.
Oh, is the t-shirt up now?
Yes.
We have a new t-shirt.
Yes, new t-shirt. Behold t-shirts. They are new ones. You got a bee and some hands holding the bee because behold.
Everyone loves it.
Yeah, and actually I think you should be able to see the shirts right below the video.
Thank you, Tommy.
Thomas. Yes, thank you.
Wow.
Here, go and get yourself something pretty. Thank you. I will. It's gonna be I'm thinking one of those fake tiaras, you know?
Or
one of
a
those-
better mic.
That too.
How about 2 or 3?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
A whole sound system.
Yeah. It'll be
Anyways.
pretty.
Why don't I continue here?
Yeah.
The Intercession of the 4 Archangels, Chapter 9. Then Michael and Sariel and Raphael and Gabriel looked down from the sanctuary of heaven upon the earth and saw much bloodshed on the earth. And all the earth was filled with the godlessness and violence that had befallen it. And entering in, they said to one another, the earth, devoid of inhabitants, raises the voice of their cries to the gates of heaven. And now, to us, the holy ones of heaven, the souls of men make suit, saying, bring in our judgment to the Most High, and our destruction before the glory of the majesty, before the Lord of all lords in majesty. So I guess people are begging for humanity to be destroyed. And approaching, they said to the Lord of ages, you are the God of gods and the Lord of lords and King of kings and God of the ages. And the throne of your glory exists for every generation of the generations that are from of old. And your name is holy and great and blessed for all the ages. For you have made all things and have authority over all. And all things are manifest and uncovered before you, and you see all things, and there is nothing that can be hidden from you. You see what Azazel has done, who has taught all iniquity on the earth, and has revealed the eternal mysteries that are in heaven, which the sons of men were striving to learn. And what Shemihaza has done, to whom you gave authority to rule over them who are with him. They have gone into the daughters of the men of earth. They have lain with them and have defiled themselves with the woman. And they have revealed to them all sins and have taught to them how to make hate-inducing charms. And now look, the daughters of men have borne sons from them, giants, half-breeds.
Yeah, those damn half-breeds.
And the blood of men is shed upon the earth, and the whole of the earth is filled with iniquity. And now look, the spirits of the souls of the men who have died make suit, and their groan has come up to the gates of heaven, and it does not cease to come forth from the presence of the iniquities that have come upon the earth. You know all things before they happen, and you see these things and you permit them, and you do not tell us what we ought to do to them with regard to these things.
So it's a very Job-like condemnation.
Yeah. You know what? That would be good for the sitcom that we're planning.
That's true. Oh, that's right. We keep forgetting to talk about that. Thanks for reminding me. So once we hit $200 a month on Patreon, we're at almost $150 a month, I think. Once we hit $200 a month on Patreon, we will be starting production of the Gods sitcom. What did we call it? We had a name for it.
The High Place?
The High Place, or the High Places. Just the
like
High Place.
that.
It's the High Place.
I like both.
Yeah. And it's I think it's going to be hilarious. And it's going to be a good story. It's more like a dramedy, really. But I think it's going to be some good stuff in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. The people that I have told about it love the story.
Good. And I'm sure everyone in our audience will love the story, too.
They will love the story.
Excellent.
They're being programmed to now.
All right. Well, why don't I continue here with Chapter 10. Now, this is a longer one.
Yes.
But the chapter that follows it is only 2 verses.
Sure.
So.
So this chapter, there's a lot of cool stuff in this chapter. We get introduced to the Archangels.
Excellent.
Yes, so we're going to get into some cool...
Kill a gorilla?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Now, they had mentioned Michael and Sariel and Raphael and Gabriel.
Yes.
So.
But now they're going to do some stuff.
Yes. The commissioning of the 4 archangels.
Yes.
Sariel commissioned to instruct Noah. All right, chapter 10. Then the Most High declared, and the great Holy One spoke, and he sent Sariel to the son of Lamech, saying, go to Noah and say to him in my name, hide yourself, and reveal to him that the end is coming, that the whole earth will perish, and tell him that a deluge is about to come on the whole earth and destroy everything on the earth. Teach the righteous one what he should do, the sons of Lamech how he may preserve himself alive and escape forever.
Yeah, so that was Sariel.
from him a plant will be planted, and his seed will endure for all the generations of eternity. So that was Sariel.
Yeah.
So we get a little bit of a behind-the-scenes look at Genesis. Did you reference this in your flood video?
No.
Oh, you should have.
Well,
maybe.
Yeah, I am always learning new stuff.
Maybe in flood video 2.0.
3.9. There's gonna be so many reversions of it.
Now we have Raphael commissioned to imprison Azazel. To Raphael he said, "Go, Raphael, and bind Azazel hand and foot and cast him into the darkness, and make an opening in the wilderness that is in Dudael." Whatever Dudael is.
It's a place, I guess.
I guess.
Yeah, make an opening in the desert.
Land of ooze.
No, make an opening in the desert, which is in Dudael, and throw him into it.
Where's Dudael?
I don't know.
Okay. Throw him in there and lay beneath him sharp and jagged stones, and cover him with darkness and let him dwell there for an exceedingly long time.
Bury him alive, okay.
Cover up his face and let him not see the light. And on the day of the great judgment, he will be led away to the burning conflagration.
Okay, they know that, well, no, actually, yeah, I think he should be fine. I think he'll be fine.
Yeah.
But bury him alive, but this is a pretty powerful angel
Yeah.
that we're talking about.
And he'll
With some rocks is they're going to hold him in.
Yeah.
Magic rock.
Magic rocks.
And he'll be led away on the day of the great judgment.
Yep.
Yeah. And heal the earth which the watchers have desolated, and announce the healing of the earth, that the plague may be healed, and all the sons of men may not perish because of the mystery that the watchers told and taught their sons, and all the earth was made desolate by the deeds of the teachings of Azazel, and over him write all sins.
So, it's interesting that they put Azazel at the forefront, even though he was just one of the angels doing this.
But everything is just Azazel's fault.
Yes. So there's some note on this. Oh, and there's some stuff on Dudael. Okay. So though some scholars deny it because of the dissimilarity in the names, this passage identifies Azazel with Azazel, a mysterious denizen of the desert to whom a goat is dispatched, bearing the sins of the people on the Day of Atonement. That's Leviticus 16.
Ah.
Yeah. Later Jewish sources allow us to identify the rough, jagged place, and probably also the name Dudael, as the destination of the goat sent off to Azazel. And then it references, I think these are some Targums? I have no idea. These are abbreviations, so I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then two Qumran texts include a passage from a lost Enochic writing known as the Book of Giants. Also explicitly link Azazel to the fallen angel myth found in Enoch.
Is that what we're going to be referencing?
Let me check. I think it's 4Q180. I think this is 4Q180. Yeah, this is 4Q180, and this is from, let's see, 7 through 8. Yes. Actually, let's read that, shall we?
All right, go ahead.
Okay. The prophetic interpretation concerning Azazel and the angels who went into the daughters of man, so that they bore mighty men to them, and concerning Azazel who taught them to love iniquity and caused them to inherit wickedness. Then there's a whole bunch missing. It's fragmentary. Then it continues judgments and the judgment of the council of. Then more stuff is not there. But there's enough there to say that they're probably talking about the same dude.
Okay.
Yeah. Loving iniquity, angel into man kind of stuff. So that's in there.
Cool. So next, Gabriel's commissioned to destroy the giants. And to Gabriel he said, "Go, Gabriel, to the bastards, to the half-breeds, to the sons of Miscegnate, Miscegenation.
I have the children of fornication.
Wow. And destroy the sons of the watchers from among the sons of men. Send them against one another in a war of destruction. Length of days they will not have, and no petition will be granted to their fathers in their behalf, that they should expect to live an everlasting life, nor even that each of them should live 500 years.
Oh.
They can't even live 500 years.
Yeah. Very short lives.
Yep. And then Michael's commissioned to imprison Shemahaza and his associates and to destroy the giants. And to Michael he said, "Go, Michael, bind Shemahaza and the others with him who have mated with the daughters of men, so that they were defiled by them in their uncleanness. And when their sons perish and they see the destruction of their beloved ones, bind them for 70 generations in the valley of the earth, until the day of their judgment and consummation, until the everlasting judgment is consummated. Then they will be led away to the fiery abyss." And
so this is only at the day of judgment this is going to happen. So until then...
70 generations after this point.
Okay. Gotcha. I think we're a little...
We're past that.
Yeah, I think so.
Pretty far. Yep.
Well, actually, hold on. If this was supposed to be from, like the time of Noah, right? So what? That's like 2000 BCE, I think. That's
Something
around.
like that.
Yeah, and assuming there are 3 generations every century, maybe 4. 3 or 4 generations every century. So there's been 20. Well, I guess there have been 40 centuries, right? So, yeah, I guess, yeah, we should be past that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We definitely are.
Yeah, definitely past that.
Yeah.
I thought you were joking. I was laughing.
Then they'll be led away to the fiery abyss and to torture, and to the prison they will be confined forever. And everyone who is condemned and destroyed henceforth will be bound together with them until the consummation of their generation. And at the time of the judgment, which I shall judge, they will perish for all generations. Destroy all the spirit of the half-breeds and the son of the watchers, and the sons of the watchers, because they have wronged men. Then Michael is to renovate the earth. It says, "Destroy all perversity from the face of the earth, and let every wicked deed be gone. And let the plant of righteousness and truth appear, and it will become a blessing. And the deeds of righteousness and truth will be planted forever with joy. And now all the righteous will escape, and they will live until they beget thousands.
Wow.
And all the days of their youth and their old age will be completed in peace."
Yeah, so after the this terrible time, there's going to be a judgment. And after the day of judgment, it's going to be a paradise. It's going to be utopia.
Yeah. Just perfect righteousness and justice. It's wonderful. Then all the earth will be tilled in righteousness, and all of it will be planted with trees and filled with blessing. And all the trees of joy will be planted on it. They will plant vines on it, and every vine that will be planted on it will yield 1,000 jugs of wine. And every seed that is sown on it, each measure will yield 1,000 measures. And each measure of olives will yield 10 baths of oil.
Sure. So here's something weird. These guys point out. Puzzlingly, this is not a picture of eschatological bliss, but a description of the post-Diluvian world, the one in which Enoch's readers now live. Obviously, something has gone wrong and spoiled, or rather delayed, the fulfillment of God's promises. Basic Enochic typology is at work, since conflating the realized kingdom of God with the era following the flood also forces the mind to conflate the events which mark the beginning of those two eras, the deluge and the final judgment. We readers are left to suppose that the postponement of the kingdom must be due to a fresh incursion of evil, since we now live under the shadow of a badly needed second judgment, after which the promises of chapters 10 through 11 may presumably be fulfilled. In some sense, then, the watchers must be among us again, and in some sense the wisdom of Enoch is yet available as a guide. Later Enochic authors will so conclude, but the concepts are already implicit in this oldest stratum of the tradition. That's a good point, actually, because it's specifically post-Diluvian, unless the flood wasn't the thing that was supposed to wipe them out, in which case they're still among us.
Yeah. Well, I think it was supposed to be the flood.
I think it was supposed to be the flood, too.
Yeah.
But, that's a good point. Something must have went wrong. Maybe we'll learn about what went wrong.
Yeah. Cleanse the earth from all impurity and from all wrong and from all lawlessness and from all sin, and godlessness and impurities that have come upon the earth remove. And all the sons of men will become righteous, and all the peoples will worship me, and all will bless me and prostrate themselves.
Of course they will.
And all the earth will be cleansed from all defilement and from all uncleanness, and I shall not again send upon them any wrath or scourge for all the generations of eternity. And the next two verses are chapter 11.
Just chapter 11, yes.
Then I shall open the storehouses of blessing that are in heaven, and make them descend upon the earth, upon the works and the labor of the sons of men. And then truth and peace will be united together for all the days of eternity and for all the generations of humanity.
So storehouses of heaven.
Yes.
Let me just see that again. The earth will be cleansed from all defilement, and I shall not again spend upon them any wrath or scourge from all the generations of eternity. Then I shall open the storehouses of blessing that are in heaven, and make them descend upon the earth. Okay. So it's just more good stuff to come.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that shares a lot of similar imagery with opening up the windows of heaven.
Right.
For the flood. That's really interesting. But anyways, that is the end of chapter 11.
And if you enjoyed
the
this
angels, the angels, they're here, and shit's happening.
Yeah.
So it's not really the angels falling, but it's like the angels going down by their own volition to earth, and they're just messing things up.
And then they get kicked out.
Well, then
they're going to go to prison.
Yeah, the Archangels need to fix this problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not exactly a fall in the way that we traditionally think of it.
Right.
Yeah. So, anyways, that is the end of that. I don't think I have anything else to add. Do I?
Was there anything we wanted to...
I mean, we're definitely going to do that. But I'm just making sure there wasn't anything else. I don't think there was. Yeah, I think we covered pretty much everything. Yeah. Looks like we did. If I missed anything, we'll just cover it next time.
Okay.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything else in here that...
Yeah, nothing else in there.
Okay.
All right, everyone. I would like to thank them. I would like to thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
This is our first episode of Friday Apocryphal Podcast.
Yeah, and if you enjoyed this stream, and if you haven't been watching Atheist Sunday School,
you should watch Atheist Sunday School, and you should drop a like too, and subscribe if you haven't.
And visit our Amazon wish list.
Yes. And visit our Facebook and Twitter and Patreon and our Teespring with our new shirts. And all right, that's all.
And set up those altars with our pictures and put
high places.
Put offerings.
High places, the show.
You have to burn incense.
You have to burn a lot of stuff for us, actually. But either way, that's going to be in the show today. And I guess we will see you on Sunday.
Oh, well.